Alrighty, hey everyone, welcome back. Happy Friday night to everyone, depending where you are. If you're someplace else, it might be actually morning for you guys, though. So the markets today didn't do that well today. We had the jobs report come out, and they were much lower than they were expected. So we'll take a look at that. We'll talk about that a little bit as far as what could that mean for us. The good news is it does pretty much make the rate cuts 100% guarantee, almost, right? It's not 100%, but it's almost 100% guarantee there. So that might be good news for us, along with Bitcoin. Bitcoin miners possibly will fly on that news. We have basically about 2 weeks to go before that happens. So I think that's happening on the 17th. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about obviously the miners, how they did today. They did great in the morning, but then things went south relatively quickly. It was kind of across the board for everything there, but then they rebounded towards the end of the day. That was actually pretty good sign there. And we'll also take a look at Cango. We do have some numbers for them for Q2 results, and their profit margins are much smaller than I thought they were going to be. So we'll take a look at that, and I've actually updated my price estimates for them as well. Based on that. So we'll get into all that, and then we'll get into Q&A and call it a day. But as always, you guys know the drill. Not financial advice for entertainment only. Do your own research. Full disclosure below that. Hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out tremendously here. And let's take a look at what's going on here with Bitcoin today, right? So Bitcoin had a nice spike today. Was up to a high of 113,390. And then we fell here. So if we look at the 15-minute chart, that one will probably show it a lot better here. You can see here that we were nicely going up here, and then all of a sudden... right around, I think, when the jobs report data came out, things just kind of went south here. I don't know if it was before the jobs report came out that we actually went up north, and then we came down south here. But for whatever reason, we had quite a big spike onto the downward side here. This was right around the 9 o'clock hour, my time. So this would have been probably 10 o'clock Eastern time or so. And then we had another big spike here within, like, two big spikes down within half an hour of each other, or 15 minutes of each other, more or less. And then we kind of went sideways up a little bit, sideways, and we finally came back up here a little bit. The miners had the same kind of event happening here today. They were all over the place, nicely up in the morning hours when trading started, and then we fell as the morning hours progressed, unfortunately, and then we finally bounced back, so that was kind of good. All right, let's take a look at those. Let's take a look at Ethereum as well. We can see that the markets were all down. Russell was up a little bit, 0.5% there. Ethereum was actually up a little bit here today. Kind of same action as we saw with Bitcoin here, but I was actually able to squeak out a little bit of a green here. It was up just a little bit, 0.22%. Bitfarms did squeak out a win here. It was up 3.2%, and actually a lot of the miners did squeak out a win towards the end of the day there. BitDeer did go up 2.83%. Cango went up 6.5% today. Really, I'm guessing that's maybe on the financial results, I'm guessing, maybe. I'm not sure, but those came out on... Was it yesterday they came out? Can't remember when they came out. Nonetheless, they had a good day. Cypher was up 1.62%. Cleanspark was up 1.76%. CORZ was flat. Hive was down 1.85%. Hot 8 was down 0.9%. IREN squeaked out a barely positive day there, 0.08%. It was up like 4% on one point before falling back down here. Mara was up a little bit as well, 0.53%. Riot was up almost 1% there. And Wolf was up almost 3% at 2.93%. MicroStrategy was up 2.5, Galaxy was up 2.6, Block was up, Block was down 1%, Coin was down 2.52, Meta Planet was down 4.7, Exodus down 1.15, Similar up a little bit here, 0.11%, Phoenix was almost down 1%, and GameStop was up 1%. Small miners were in the green for the most part. They did really good. Annie was up 11% here for some reason, 11.42. Argo was down just a little bit, 1.06. DigiPower was up 12.2% today. Nice little bounce there. This thing has been bouncing off the 100 SMA there. DMG was up 6.8. Mawson was up 6.6. Canon was up 3.26. And I probably should, do I have Cango? I do have Cango in here. For some reason, I was thinking that it's not in there. It's getting late. Ethereum holding companies here. BMNR was down 0.36. BTBT was up just a little bit, 1.21. BTCS was down 9.4. Game was down 4.62. SBET was down 3.21. Bitcoin dominance here on the day actually was down a little bit. Let's see, where do we close at? 58.6%. And then American BTC here. That one had a nice pump here today after having a pretty big drawdown there yesterday, being down 20%. It was up 15.44%. Like I said before, I need a little bit more time and data on those guys to see where they stack up. And then we'll see also if they report their their monthly production updates as well. I'm not sure if they will or not. Okay, so there's that news there. We won't get into the miners, obviously, because they're not trading after hours right now because it's the weekend. So we'll take a look at that on probably Sunday when we do the stream again. Looking at Bitcoin here right now for the month of September, we're up 2.21%, so we're still in the green. Rate cuts should help with that, but we'll see. Bitcoin ETF inflows and outflows. So today looks like we had another day of outflows, 96.9 million in the negative territory. Yesterday, BlackRock actually bought 134 million, so they were positive there, but it wasn't enough to push the rest of the sector up with it. And then we'll see where they come in today, probably on Sunday's stream as well. Now, going back to the market turmoil a little bit here today, and what that might mean for us here. So this is based on the job report, right? So stocks closed lower as slowing labor market boosts rate cut hopes, but fans economic fears, right? There's always a double-edged sword to all this stuff here. So the stock market closed lower on Friday after a weaker than expected U.S. jobs report gave way to worries about slowing U.S. economy, even as expectations for a Federal Reserve rate cut were solidified. So we're pretty much shoo-in to get 25 basis points cut here happening in September 17th here. The economy just added 22,000 jobs in August. The Bureau of Labor Statistics reported Friday that's below the 75,000 that economists polled by Dow Jones had expected. The unemployment rate also rose to 4.3%, in line with expectations though. And then reports supported expectations for at least a quarter-point rate cut by Fed at its meeting later this month. Traders also put half a point rate cut into play per the Fed Watch, which I have over here. So this is for September 17th here. We can see that right now 89% are basically putting in, going down to 400 to 425 basis points. And we are currently at 425, 450. Current target rate, right? So that's going to be coming down here, 25 basis points roughly. And then there's some people thinking that 11% are thinking that we might have a 50 basis point cut at that point. We'll see where that comes in. If we look at the October one here, we can see that we are looking to maybe go down to about 375, 400 basis points. That would be a 50 basis points cut from where we are right now, roughly. So we'll see if that comes through, right? So we might have a rate cut in September, one in October, and then maybe one in December, going down maybe 75 basis points all in. We'll see. Maybe we go as high as a full 100 basis points. We'll see on that one. But going back here, slower job gains combined with uptick in the unemployment rate and moderating wage growth support the view that the rate of positive change in the labor market has slowed significantly. So Jimmy Fox, managing partner of Harris Financial Group, these employment data give the Fed all the reasons it needs to shift its balance of risks and lower rates in 2 weeks. And I would agree with that, right? Fed has a dual mandate. One is jobs, right? Employment. The other one is inflation. So inflation looks like it's somewhat in check here, but jobs is definitely hurting right now. So I think that's going to be happening there for us. Investors were heading into August non-farmer payroll report with stocks coming off a fresh record. They are betting rate cuts will recharge an economy that is flagging, but still in no danger of a recession there, right? Keyword, no danger of recession. That's good. Though these latest job figures where the June payroll numbers was revised to show the first job loss since the pandemic may start to raise recessionary concerns. And that's true. And that will all depend on where do we go from here as far as continuation of the jobs market, right? Does it continue to go down? How much does it go down next month? All that stuff will maybe flame the fears of rate cuts or possibility of a recession, right? So we'll have to keep an eye on that one. But what does that mean for us, more or less? I think, well, rate cuts are obviously a good thing for risk-on assets, and the miners are risk-on assets, along with Bitcoin is risk-on assets. So those typically do very well. Some of the other stocks that are out there might get hit a little bit here. For a short term, I think they will get rebound eventually, but I think the miners and Bitcoin should go higher, right? If we get a rate cut here in September, which I believe we will, and then again in October, and then possibly in December, this is going to be a nice little, oomph to the flame of going up higher with Bitcoin and Bitcoin miners potentially. But we'll see what it plays out like, right? So I'm bullish on this. I think this is good news here for us. Obviously, jobs creation, I'd like to see that obviously not come down, but it does lead us to have lower interest rates, which I believe we do need to lower those interest rates. They are relatively too high right now, in my opinion. All right, so that should be good for us here. No, just got to be patient. We got to be patient. I mean, we've been patient so long already as it has been with these Bitcoin miners and everything else that we are in. What's the worst case scenario? We have to wait another 3 to 6 months maybe for these things to do really well for us. And a lot of these guys have already done pretty well for us, right? IREN, Cypher, CORZ Scientific even, and others as well. So, all right, lastly here, let's take a look at Cango. So Cango reports their second quarter 2025 unaudited financial results here. Total revenues went up to 139.8 million. That also includes some of their other business, which wasn't that much. Bitcoin mining was 138.1 million of that. Adjusted EBITDA was 99.1 million there, and a total of 1,404.4 bitcoins were mined during the second quarter 2025. Average cost to mine, excluding depreciation of mining machines, was 83,091 per bitcoin. So that is definitely high there, right? With all costs of 98,636 per bitcoin. So that is definitely high. And that is because they are asset light. And a lot of them, their machines are hosted with somebody else. So you're going to be paying a little bit higher fee there because of that. They did buy a site, 50 megawatts in Georgia, I believe it is. So they're at least trying to transition slowly into having more of their own assets, which is a good thing here. Going down here, what else do we have here that I highlighted really quick? Cost of revenue was 116.8 million, right? They generated 139.8 million, right? Not very good profit margins there on that. We'll take a look at what the exact number is here. We'll get into something else here really quick, though. Roadmap for them, near term, they're going to optimize their 50 exahash mining capacity by implementing efficiency upgrades and replicating the low-cost operational model of its Georgia mining facility in other favorable power markets, right? So that was the one that they bought for 50 megawatts there. Medium term, develop energy and HPC expertise by piloting renewable energy storage projects aimed at achieving near zero cost mining while simultaneously retrofitting select facilities for HPC applications. Okay, so they are looking to get into HPC as well. Long-term view there, build a dynamic computing platform that intelligently allocates energy capacity between Bitcoin mining and AI workloads, integrating Bitcoin mining, HPC services, and green energy trading into a synergistic revenue model. So definitely lofty goals there to get into that, but they're going to have to obviously own a lot more infrastructure than what they do now. And with the small amount of actual revenue that they're getting there, right, net revenue after expenses, it might be tough. They're going to probably have to dilute. They're going to have to do other capital things in that regard to possibly do the things that they want to do. But yeah, we'll talk about that here in a second here. This is their presentation for earnings 2025 Q2. Down here, we can see the revenue. We talked about that. BTC revenue, cash and cash equivalents, 117.8 million. Adjusted EBITDA was 99.1 million. Cost per coin, we talked about that, 83,000. That is high. That's kind of where I have them at as right now. Right there, 50 exahash right now. HODL at that time was 3,879. It's definitely grown from there. That's valued about 420 million or so. And they stayed here 1.2 gigawatts or 1,200 megawatts. Total operating capacity as of June 30th. I feel like that's a little misleading there. It should be hosted capacity, right? Because that's what it is. It's really hosted capacity. It's not their own capacity there on it. Let me see here. Cost to mine coin, we talked about that. And then they go into monthly Bitcoin production and Bitcoin treasury here, how that's been improving as time progresses. What else do we have here? Expanding capacity and scale, continued. And here's their operations. So they have 703 megawatt operating capacity and 28 exahash deployed hash rate in the United States, 57% of that. East Africa is 26%, so they got 300 megawatts there. That's being hosted. Paraguay, 63 megawatts, also being hosted, and Oman, 11% operational capacity. So again, I wish they would state that it's hosted, because I think it might be misleading to some people that are not familiar with their business segments. They might think that they actually have all those under their own business there. So I just wish that was maybe a little bit more clear. Here we can see, obviously, how much is deployed where, and consistently growing Bitcoin treasury holdings, which is fine, but they're going to be diluting because of that. What else? Okay, we talked about these already here. Let's take a look at the numbers that I do have here for them, and we'll call it a day. All right, so shares outstanding, 177 million, roughly. Market cap, 892 million as it is. Their performance of the last 12 weeks has not been great, right? They're down 8% from 12 weeks ago, down 10% from 8 weeks ago. From 4 weeks ago, they were down 4%. Last week, they were down 2.65% there. Production, we covered their production here, right? They're 50 exahash right now. No further growth there. Bitcoin HODL right now is actually 5,193, so that's valued at 575 million right now. And at 64.47% of their market cap is their HODL position right now. Going down here into the quarterly revenue here, right? Revenue actually came down here a little bit from Q1 to 139.84 million. And that is a result of them being basically flat for hash rate right there, right? Bitcoin price was going up, but their hash rate was flat. and the network hash rate was actually going up, which you're going to reduce the number of Bitcoins that you're mining at that point. Current quarter, though, we're estimating them to be about 225 million, which is actually a nice jump there. They got to 50 exahash. That should be good for them there. Last 4 quarters operating costs. Obviously, we don't have the last 4 quarters. We only have the last 2 quarters. So we have that down a little bit here to 116 million from 131. So a slight improvement there. Cost to mine did come down a little bit for them based on my numbers. I'm at 83.2 thousand. Prior quarter, they were at 85.4. And maybe this improves here in the current quarter as well as they got to 50 exahash. Bitcoin mined quarterly, right, that came down. That's a result of not installing new hash rate during that time period. Debt to equity, lower is better, obviously. That's down to 0.7, so that's looking pretty good here. Current ratio higher is better. That's also went up, so that's to 1.6. That's looking good there. Total current assets, 762 million. Total current liabilities, 466 million right now as it is, so that's a slight increase from where they were prior. Going down here to their actual, oh, excuse me, I had to burp there. Going to their numbers here, assets, we talked about that. Let me see here, 762 right now, so that's a nice improvement over the 608 million that they had. Total assets went up to 1.1 billion here from 972 million, so that's good there. Total current liabilities went up just a little bit to 466 from 432 million. And then total liabilities, same thing. Let's say the same here. Total liabilities, stakeholder equity went up to 1.2 billion from 972 million. So that's good. And then revenues, here's the interesting part of it all. Bitcoin mining, only 138 million, right? So that's, I think that's close to where I had them. Where did I have them at for the month here? I had them at 138.4. And they came in at, where is it at? 138.1. So off by 300,000. That's pretty good. Happy with that. A lot of things were taken out here in this current quarter for different things. Loan facilitation, guarantee income, all that stuff was taken out, it looks like. But the profit margin here, based on what their cost of revenue was, 116 million here, was an improvement, though, over Q1. In Q1, they were at 8.71% profit margin. In Q2, they got to 15.41% profit margin. That's still pretty low compared to some of the other miners that have a much higher profit margin, 50 to 70%. Going down here, what else do we have here? General administrative actually came down to 3 million from 12.7 million, so that's nice to see that. And then what else do we have here? That was kind of okay. This one was kind of interesting. Impairment loss from mining machines, 256 million. I'm not sure what impairment loss that was on it. Have to look into that when they actually report their 10Q filing. 10K. 10K is the annual, right? 10Q is quarterly. Let's see anything else that was interesting here. Interest in income did jump up to 697,000. Not that bad from 296. Yeah, I mean, there wasn't. What's the word I'm looking for? I guess it wasn't that bad overall. Net income loss was 181 million from 28 million. Big loss on that, I think, was the 256 million there on the impairment loss for the machines. That was a big one there. Overall, they lost $1.08 per share loss based on the basic and diluted weighted average of 107 million shares there. We do know that they obviously got the 50 exahash now. That was part of giving more shares, right? Dilution there. That's why I have them at 177 million shares as it is right now. So based on that, right, and based on the 15% profit margin right now on the mining side of things, you could say downgraded them, whatever you want to call it. I lowered them down here to 15% net income and 25% net income, somewhere between there, right? Some of the other miners, well, pretty much all the other miners have between 50 and 75%. But they're also much closer to being that profitable here. So this kind of puts them more in line with where they are right now as far as pricing is concerned, right? They're currently at 504. I have them between 388 and 646. And that's with a PE of 5 here. So maybe we can bump them up here a little bit to maybe a PE of 10. Maybe. I would say maybe an 8. So 621 to 1034. I do think that they're kind of slightly undervalued. But again, they don't own much as far as infrastructure for themselves. Only 50 megawatts right now. And everything else is hosted, which leads to a higher cost. And that's definitely pretty high here. If we look at the miner break-even comparison, I mean, they're going to be at like 90-some thousand or something like close to 100,000. That would put them somewhere around here. So even higher than Marathon is and everything else at that point. Overall, I mean, the only thing they can do, the good thing is that their SG&A is low enough to where they can still be profitable going forward even being asset light, as long as they keep that SG&A low, right? So that's going to be a big thing for them to do, and maybe a challenge there. But maybe they can do it, right? The other good news, there was one thing else that I saw on here that was good news for them, and that was, where was that at? Oh, reporting currency. The company intends to change the reporting currency of its consolidated financial statements from I have a hard time pronouncing that word, renminbi, to US dollars, reflecting the profile of its revenue and profit after its divestiture of its Chinese assets in May 2025. The change is expected to be effective from the company's results for the third quarter 2025, which will be reported in US dollars, and all comparative numbers will be recast in US dollars as well. So that's also pretty good there for investors and everything else. All right. So that is it. That's all I got for you guys. We're still waiting, obviously, on quite a few of these guys to report here. I'm still waiting on BitTF to report for their August update, along with CORZ. Well, CORZ doesn't report. I pull that data out of their daily tweets or X posts. Hive has to report. IREN still has to report. Once those guys report, we can take a look at all these guys, how they did for the month of August there at that time. All right, but that's it. Spreadsheet, as always, available to my Patreon members. Link for that is down in the description. If you want to join, help support what I do, it's a couple bucks a month, like $4 or $5 a month. I think you can get in at those rates right now as it is. So that's it. Let's get into Q&A here, see what you guys have to say. Otherwise, we're going to call it a day and make it a nice, short video for Friday. All right, let me go to Q&A here really quick. As always, if you guys could preface the questions with a question mark or a Q, I would appreciate it. And as always, I'm going to work my way up and scroll my way down. We'll work through that as like we always do. All right. Sir Lellington has a question here. Hi, Seb. What's your view on investing in BitDeer, as it seems, judging by analyst rating, is a strong buy? I mean, there's a lot of things happening right? A lot of growth happening here in the second half of this year and into next year as well. Let me see here. BitDeer's kind of hard to wrap my fingers around it, I guess you could say. I do have them right now between, let me see here, if I can share this with you guys. There it is. Between 1488 and 2232. They're at 1235 right now. I do think that they're slightly undervalued from where they should be. One of the things that came out in Q2 results was the revenue from the ASIC sales and the cost associated with it. And the profit margin was not that great on it. It was only, let me see if I can pull that up if I have it here. I think I do. Down over here, Seal Miners, 12.81% net profit percentage, right? Based on that, just for the cost alone, not including any other costs associated with it, for like R&D and things like that, and nothing else is included. So that seems kind of low for me. I think maybe they're just trying to get their foot in the door. I would like to see that profit margin go up on those. And obviously would like to see more sales of that, because they only sold about $70 million worth of those things. That's not that much, right? Other companies like Bitmain and others are selling hundreds, if not billions of dollars of these machines throughout the year there. So definitely need to see that come up, see some more adoption on these things if they are as good as they say they are. We might see that. But yeah, they do have a lot going on here. Getting to 40 plus exahash later on this year, continued growth next year. They're also getting to HPC-AI. So yeah, I think they're undervalued from where they should be, right? With them also not being a US-based company, has that been a detriment to them a little bit? Maybe. So we'll see how they do going forward, but I do think they are undervalued, and they do have a lot of growth potential there. So it's maybe one of those things where you put a little bit down and see where it goes. But as always, not financial advice. Let's see, Sir Langton says 170% growth. They say, I mean, yeah, Bitcoin goes up to 200,000. I could see them growing, at least a 2 to 3x from here. I could see that happening. Yeah. All right. Alexander Hawks, sir, I was buying BitDeer yesterday with any cash I had left. They are risky, but might get the best upside. That's always the potential there. All right. Adam, let's see. Did you catch the Trump speech talking about AI infrastructure, data centers, energy production that will grease the regulatory rails for new power plants and $30 oil? I did not see that. Was that from today or from yesterday? I know that they had I think it was some kind of meeting on infrastructure and things like that. Maybe that was part of it. I did not see that though, but that's good, right? We do definitely need more power generation. China, to be honest, is kicking our butts. They're putting up a heck of a lot more megawatts than we are. I mean, they're putting up in a year's time, they're putting up what we're putting up in like 5 or 10 years. So they are kicking our butts there. So we do definitely need more megawatts for sure. Sadie, happy weekend. Likes help the channel. I totally agree, and thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful weekend there. Just like I always thought. Okay. Sir Lellington, off topic. What time do you lovely people read TradingView charts? My default is 15 minutes. I look at both. Well, I look at three. I like to look at maybe four even. The 15-minute, 1 hour, 4 hour, and then the daily and then the weekly. I like to look at those just to see where things are progressing over time, different time frames. CR, hi Seb, greetings from Ireland. Thank you so much for coming in. I managed to catch you live 4:45 a.m. here. Many thanks for all you do. Have a good weekend. Thank you so much. And I don't know if you're just getting home from work or getting ready to go to work, but man, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. George, question, would you be covering ABTC going forward if they report monthly? Yeah, if they report monthly, yeah, I'll cover them. What are your thoughts on ABTC fair price? I got to find out exactly how many shares they have outstanding. I mean, I'm hearing different things. I'm hearing that there's like 900 some odd million shares outstanding, and I'm hearing that there's like 100 some odd million shares outstanding. So I got to find out what is the actual number there on it, and then see where they are priced. Because if they have 900 some odd million, they're being priced at like 8 billion, which is just ridiculous for them. But again, it's the Trump boys that are in there. Could just the name recognition, name power be enough to pump something like that? That's a possibility there. But I need to do some more research on those and see where everything is at right now, and see if they're also reporting the monthly production updates. Christian, when Cleanspark reports that they restarted dilution, it's going to be death knell to them at that point. Maybe they don't have to restart the dilution, right? They are generating cash flow positive from operations. They still have a healthy balance sheet as it is right now. I believe they have enough everything to get to 60 exahash. So maybe not. Now, what if they come out that they're going to be using the ATM for HPCI? Right? Would that change your mind a little bit there? Could that be actually a positive thing at that point? So there's always ways. There's, I guess, two sides to every story. And by report, I mean you'll just randomly see a higher share outstanding number, and they won't address it. They will have to file it if they do an ATM. They'll also have to do a filing if they do convertible notes. So it's not like they can, just go about it. And I don't think they have any ATMs open right now as it is. All right. Christian asks, when was the last time you had Cleanspark as fairly valued in your spreadsheet? Seems you have said undervalued for years. Back last year, right, when they were $24, I thought that at that point they were like fairly or maybe even overvalued at that point a little bit. And when they were $18, when was that? Was that last summer too as well? I think somewhere around there. So they were at times, even valued or overvalued a little bit. All right. Is BitDeer buy under $10? BitDeer right now is $12.35. I would say, yeah, $10. I would say definitely it would be a buy at that point. All right. Bevneed Seb, you don't have to tell the amount, but do you keep cash in your savings? What percentage versus investing? Oh, man. I do, and it's a much smaller percentage. It's only enough to weather me about 2 to 3 months if something were to happen, right? So I have enough to cover me for at least 3 months at that point. So it's not that much compared to what I have invested in my retirement account and crypto and in the miners as well. It's a very, very small percentage of that. All right. Let's see. Covered that one. Okay. Sir Langton, thank you, Seb. Legend as always. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Hopefully you guys find this stuff useful. I dig into all this stuff every day. Try to stay abreast of all the changes and everything else that's going on here, and try to provide the best information I can for you guys. So hopefully you guys at least take something out of it, right? It's not a waste of time. You guys come in here and watch. You guys actually learn something and take something of value potentially. Bevneed asks, when double for Cleanspark? We need Bitcoin to go up. Well, 2 ways for it to go up. Bitcoin goes up, or they start announcing good plans for HPCI. What the heck happened there? My phone just started playing by itself. Okay. That is weird. Okay, somebody listen to me? Okay, yeah, that was kind of weird. Let's see here. Adam says, thank you, very welcome, Adam. Thanks for coming in, as always. We're just going up 15, down 15%. That does seem like that way, right? We're going sideways. Christian has a question here. Do you really think Bitcoin mining is a long-term viable business, or have you conceded that these companies can't continue with that as their strategy? I think it's still a viable business for a couple reasons now. If, big if, right? We get an extended cycle with Bitcoin where Bitcoin doesn't go down 70, 80%. We may have the corrections of 30% or something like that. I think that's going to be fine. That will be a huge benefit to the miners going forward. The other part of it is, I mean, we can see IREN already, right? How profitable IREN is just by doing things right, getting to scale, all that stuff, keeping costs low. If you can do that without enriching all the C-suite there, right? I mean, you can make money. That's not a problem. I don't have a problem with them making, 1 million to $1.5 million a year or something like that. I don't have a problem with that at all. Right? If the company's generating $1 billion in revenue, run rate or something like that, I'm fine with that. But you got to keep it in line with what you're actually bringing in, cash flow wise. So they can do that, but you got to get to a certain scale. Now it looks like the scale is probably around 50 exahash to higher than that, right? Whether it's 60, 75, whatever that is. Yes, you're going to have to keep up with it, but that's like in any business. If you're not growing, you're going to be dying, right? And that's basically in all businesses for the most part. So I do think that Bitcoin mining still is a viable business, but you got to have the right mindset in it. You got to have the right cost structures on things. You got to have a lot of things right to get it done. Sir Langton says, Lambos soon, guys. I hope you guys do get Lambos. I will not be getting one of those. IREN still a long hold for you. I'm still holding on to it for the next probably 3 to 6 months. We'll see where it goes, and then we'll reevaluate at that point, right? Does it make sense to hold on to it even more? Possibly, if they continue to build out their own HPC ambitions with their own services. Do they get a co-location deal with somebody else, right? All those things will kind of dictate as far as which way we want to go. I know, but right now I'm holding on to it for, as long as I can. George says, maybe BTC will run now that Trump boys have launched LOL. Maybe that was the thing that's keeping it down. We'll see. They're definitely going to want that stock to do well for sure. Okay, Christian says, halving will be too much next cycle, in my opinion. Not necessarily, right? Bitcoin doesn't go down 70, 80%, and it continues to go up here, but more moderately, right? If it goes up 20, 30% a year, something like that, that's actually going to be pretty good. If the miners can also time getting newer machines that are going to be, maybe sub 5 joules per terahash or something like that, and they can get those at a good rate, right? And you've paid off the old machines, and those things have been generating revenue for you for a year and a half or something like that. It's definitely doable there. Plus, you can sell the older machines again because those things are going to be profitable still maybe for a little bit longer. Or you may not have to change out the machines. You might be able to hold on to those machines for a little bit longer. Instead of 3 years, you might be able to hold on to them for 4 to 5 years because the Bitcoin price just continues to go up. You don't have that huge shock that you normally get with Bitcoin going down 70, 80%, right? So we will see. It's going to be, it'll be interesting to watch this cycle play out. All right. Sir Langton, have you ever given day trading a try? I have not. No. I wouldn't say I've never I haven't done it for a week or 2 weeks where it's just all I do is day trade, right? I've never done that. It's been one of those things where I have tried to buy low, sell high and things like that but you need to sit in front of the computer the whole time. And I didn't have the time to do it because I work full time as well. So that was never a good way to do it. I find it easier now to invest in things that I understand, things that I can track, and see how things are going and where that future is going as well. So that's something you learn over time, unfortunately. But I don't day trade. Okay, Benny, still think Bitcoin 150,000 by the end of the year? Yeah, I still think that's going to be the case here, right? If we get 3 rate cuts here happening this year, we should be pumping to that, maybe beyond as well. All right, let's see here. Michael asks, what if the miners don't run this cycle, then what? They've kind of already run a little bit, right? Depending when you got into them. But from the bottom, they've already run. A lot of these guys are up 4x, 5x. Some are even, obviously, like IREN's up 17x as it is. So depending when you got into them, they have run. Will they continue to run, though? I still think they will. Excuse me. I think they'll still get, a 2x minimum that they should get if Bitcoin gets to close to 200,000 later on this year, early next year. That's kind of where I would think they would be. Let's see, all right, covered that one here. John's got a question. Do you have any info on Riot's HPCI, or will we not find out until they announce it? Yeah, I don't have any info on it. I mean, they're working on it. And we'll have to wait until they announce something there. So yeah. All right. Michael, if Bitcoin tops out at 150,000, will the miners even move in price? I would think that they would at least move a little bit in price, getting to 150,000 at that point. Yeah, I think they will move. Michael says, let's not tempt fate. Sir Langton says to Michael, Bevney, question, can you check if Riot sold more shares in Bitfarms? I checked. When did I check? Yesterday I checked. I didn't see anything from them. Let me take a quick gander here, see what's going on there, if they report anything. With them being under 5% now, I don't know if they have to report the number of shares that they have there. Yeah, I don't see anything new from them. So they haven't reported. The last time they reported was August 18th on the ownership, which is, yeah, at that point it was 4.2%, I think. 4.2 or 4.6%. I can't remember. So nothing there yet. Okay, talked about that one. George, did you hear Rex now works for Cleanspark as senior financial analyst? I did, yeah. So congrats to Rex. Getting a nice job with Cleanspark there. Maybe that's why he's been kind of quiet here over the last month or so. We haven't seen anything from his on his YouTube channel. I was kind of wondering, like, what's going on with Rex? Right? Was he in in a padded room someplace with IREN spiking and Cleanspark not doing so well? No, I love Rex. I wish him all the best there at Cleanspark, and hopefully he can be a nice addition to them as well there. And so maybe they can help our stock go up. We shall see. See, Michael says it might be a reality check. If Bitcoin obviously goes to 150,000, miners don't do nothing. Yeah. Christian, Bitcoin price doesn't go in one direction, and it's getting so large market cap wise, the gains are going to diminish. Bitcoin's barely up this year. Yeah, Bitcoin's up, what is it, 17% up this year so far? But the dollar amount value is much larger than the percentage, right? Before it was huge percentage gains, but not huge gains dollar-wise, right? This time around, it's going to be smaller percentage gains, but larger dollar amounts, right? Because if we go up 30% from here, it's basically we're going up 30,000 or 35,000, whatever it's going to be. Last time around, last cycle, if we went up 30%, we were going up $3,000, right? So you're having these much bigger price swings dollar-wise. All right, Bevney, question, Seb, if you're comfortable sharing, what has been your worst investment in life? Talking about selling it at a loss. How much was it? I mean, there have been a couple things. So when I was younger, probably in my early 30s, I would say, I tried getting into penny stocks, tried doing that. I didn't lose that much. I lost, I think, maybe close to $10,000 overall, just trying that out. What else was there? Rivian here recently, in the last 2 years or so, when Rivian went public, I bought into that on the IPO, and just, dollar cost average down onto it. Finally decided, okay, this is going to take a much longer time frame. Similar to what we saw with Tesla right in the beginning. Tesla did the same thing, where it took many, many years for that thing to become profitable. So that's kind of time frame that we're looking at. Rivian there, I lost on that one. Probably took a hit of about $8,000 or somewhere around there, give or take. And then what else have I lost money on here recently? I think that's it. Coinbase was another one that I had, though, also. Same thing, but in at the IPO, right? I understood Coinbase, I understood Bitcoin, everything else. But the stock did what it did in the beginning, went up and then it came way down here. So that was another I wouldn't say trading, a learning experience. That's what I wanted to say. You learn by those things. You make some mistakes, but so far, knock on wood, the current shares that I have invested in, not only crypto, but also in the miners and like the ETFs that I'm in for my retirement account, those things have done very well for me. So it's kind of full circle that way. I also lost money on some crypto stuff. Got into, gosh, what was it called now? I can't remember even the name right now. This was going back probably 4 or 5 years. There was one that I plowed in close to $12,000, I think it was. Lost on that one, right? It was one of those sure things that this crypto is going to go to the moon. A friend of mine said that, which also that friend of mine did very well on other things. So I was like, okay, he's got a pretty good track record. Let's dump some money into it. That didn't pan out. Learned on that one. That's why I'm like, okay, I'm out of all these altcoins. It's only like Ethereum for me and Bitcoin, majority Bitcoin. And then I still have like Doge. I used to mine that, so that's where I have that. But yeah, a lot of things you learn over time, unfortunately. But I think we all have to go through it. All right, Christian here. Question: 110,000 is greater than 200,000 Bitcoin for 2x in miners. Seems pretty not worth the risk. Well, I'm saying, Christian, for that, I'm saying minimum, I would think that they would do at 2x. But even that's actually really good, right? Where can you get that in the S&P 500? Yeah, you might be a little. I mean, if you pick something, but who would have picked Nvidia, a couple years back, or Google 10 years ago, or whatever it's been, right? So you can always look back on things and see where things have done really well. But at that time, would you have seen that happening? Probably not. So if I can get 2x on these guys here, still in the next 6 months or so, I think it's pretty good actually. It's not what I was expecting, right? I was hoping to get 5, 10x over. Well, I might be at that point around 5x on some of these guys. But I was, we're thinking we're going to get like 10, 15, 20x on these things. And depending when you got into them, you might have been able to do that. But if you got in at much higher prices, you're not going to be able to do that at that point. All right. So Lellington says, why is it that when you sell, it shoots up? Sod's Law. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's kind of, sometimes it feels that way, doesn't it? You sell and then it goes up. Like everybody has been waiting for you to sell. Let's see. Christian says, although larger dollar amounts doesn't affect unit economics of mining, though. They do. I mean, if Bitcoin goes from where it's at right now to 150,000, that's a huge improvement in the margins that the guys that are mining are going to have at that point, right? It's only 50%. Well, not even that. It's going to be 40-some%, whatever it is. But that's going to be huge amounts. I mean, these guys that are right now, like IREN's at, or even Cleanspark's at 900 million run rate right now as it is. Bitcoin goes double from here. You're looking at 1.8, well, let's just say things stay where they are with network hash rate. So you're looking at 1.8 billion at that point in revenue. Now, if you take the network hash rate into account for that as well, yeah, so they're going to probably be at maybe 1.5, 1.4 billion in annual run rate, but that's still a huge improvement there, on all these guys. All right. Benny says, that is not bad at all. Losing dollars is a part of learning in life. How do you move past it? Yeah, I mean, you learn from it, right? Learn from it and do not make that mistake again. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. Okay, Christian says, you can get it in just owning Bitcoin LOL and not a miner. Yes, so that would be a comparable, right? So if that does play out that way, then yeah, it'd be the same thing as owning Bitcoin, which historically these guys have been at least a proxy and a multiple on that. Sir Lellington says, I wasted far too much on NFTs 2 years ago. Lesson learned. Yeah, I never got into the NFTs. I just saw no intrinsic value in those things. Yeah, it's an ape or whatever it was that was floating around. But I just could never, I'm like, okay, yeah, I have this, I can make a copy of it and have the same thing that you have, right? It's not really a one-off. Yeah, okay, it's on the blockchain, you have some kind of a verification for it, but I could never get behind that. I would rather have an actual painting by Michael D'Angelo or somebody like that, right? Where that is one of a kind. So Bitcoin's kind of that way as well. It's one of a kind. There's only 21 million. That's all it's going to be. But can somebody create another Bitcoin? Sure, they could create another Bitcoin. But you need that network effect, which Bitcoin does have, I think. Christian says, then the halvings are always going to be a pain point for the miners here. And that's why a lot of these guys are diversifying into HPCI as well, right? So cut that pain point down. Right. Sir Lellington says, I wish we could invest in BTC in our ISAs in the UK. Yeah, if you can't, what about, I think you guys have like the ETPs, right? We have the ETFs. You guys have the ETPs, I think. Could you invest through that? I'm not sure. But I'm sure there's got to be ways to do it in there. All right. I think we're all caught up here. We're going to call it a day. We've been going on 45 minutes. Actually, not too bad. So we'll see where Bitcoin goes during the weekend. We'll get into things on Sunday, as always. We'll cover where the miners did this weekend or this past week along with Bitcoin. And we'll look at whatever else we can pull up. Maybe we'll do the quarterly comparison on the miners, since they all reported now. Maybe we'll do that as well if I have time to pull all the data in. All right. Other than that, I wish you guys a happy weekend. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. Love you all. I will see you guys Sunday. See you then.